My name is Nick, and I spend way too much time thinking about the weird, invisible ways our brains sabotage our bank accounts. If you're someone who finally started making good money, but you still feel like you're one bad week away from total financial ruin, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Today, we aren't just talking about budgeting, we're talking about financial dysmorphia. We are going to look at why your brain refuses to accept your new reality, the mathematical proof that your frugality is actually costing you thousands of dollars in opportunity cost, and the exact steps you need to take to finally start living the life you've already paid for. 3. The biological root, financial PTSD. Here's the thing that most financial gurus won't tell you. They spend all their time talking about lifestyle creep. You know, the idea that as soon as you make more, you spend more. And look, that's a real problem. We've all seen the guy who gets a 5K raise and buys a 60K Raptor. But there is a second, much more quiet disease. It's called scarcity lag. Research in neuroeconomics suggests that financial trauma, and yes, being broke is a form of trauma, literally rewires your brain's amygdala. That's the part of your brain responsible for fight or flight. When you've spent years living paycheck to paycheck, your brain treats a low balance, or a price tag, as a life-threatening predator. When you were broke, your brain learned that survival equals saying no. No to the appetizers, no to the better shoes, no to the direct flight. This was a necessary defense mechanism. But the problem is, when the balance goes up, the brain doesn't just reset, it stays in survival mode. This is where it gets really interesting. Your brain is essentially operating on a 24 to 36-month delay. You might be physically sitting in a nice office or a safe home, but your financial self-image is still stuck in that cramped apartment with the radiator that didn't work. You are rich in the present, but you are living in a mental past. 4. The math. Why your savings are a net loss. Now, you might be thinking, Nick, what's the big deal? So I save $2 on trash bags. Isn't that a good thing? Isn't that how the rich stay rich? No, that is a lie told by people who don't understand the time value of cognition. Let's look at the cold, hard math of the floor value. Let's say you make $120,000 a year. If you work a standard 2,000-hour work year, your time is worth roughly $60 per hour. If you spend 30 minutes scrolling through coupon apps to save $6 on a grocery bill, the ghost of your old income just convinced you to work for $12 an hour. You are literally hiring yourself at an 80% discount to do low-value tasks. You are an executive-level earner performing minimum wage labor for yourself. The opportunity cost of cognitive load. Every time you obsess over a $5 decision, you use up a portion of your decision capital for the day. Scientists call this decision fatigue. If you spend your peak mental energy in the morning deciding whether to spend $4 on a coffee or make it at home to save $3.50, you have less mental bandwidth left for the $5,000 decisions, rebalancing your portfolio, negotiating a contract, strategizing a business move. The ghost makes you trade your limitless potential for microscopic savings. 5. The Vimes boots theory, the high cost of being cheap. There's an obscure concept from a fantasy novel by Terry Pratchett that perfectly explains why the ghost keeps you poor. It's called the Boots theory of socioeconomic unfairness. The idea is simple. A rich person can spend $50 on a pair of boots that last 10 years. A poor person can only afford $10 boots that last a season. Over 10 years, the poor person spends $100 on boots and still has wet feet, while the rich person spent $50 and has dry feet. When you make more money but your brain stays broke, you continue to buy the $10 boots. The cheap laptop. You buy the $400 PC that lags and crashes, losing you 15 minutes of productivity a day. Over a year, that's 60 hours of lost work. If you make $60 an hour, that cheap laptop cost you $3,600 in lost time. The budget flight. You book the flight with 2 layovers to save $200. You arrive 10 hours later, exhausted, and lose the next day to recovery. You just traded 24 hours of your life for $200. That's an hourly rate of $8.33. Is that what your life is worth? Look, I'm not telling you to go out and buy a Ferrari. I'm telling you that wealthy people invest in quality to reduce long-term friction. The ghost wants you to focus on the immediate exit of cash rather than the long-term utility of the purchase. 6. The social ghost. Why you're afraid to look successful. Here's what most people don't realize. The ghost isn't just about math, it's about guilt. Many of us grew up in environments where rich people were the villains, or maybe your parents struggled, and you feel a deep subconscious guilt for having more than they did. This leads to performative poverty. You have the money to buy a reliable car, but you keep driving the beater that breaks down once a month because you don't want your friends or family to think you've changed. This is a trap. By staying in the ghost mindset, you aren't helping your family. You're just making yourself less effective. Look, if you want to help people, the best way to do that is to be a high-functioning, wealthy version of yourself, not a stressed-out, relatable version of yourself who can't fix their own car. 7. The efficiency versus effectiveness matrix. This is where it gets really interesting. Most people confuse being efficient with being effective. Efficiency is doing a task with the least amount of resources, saving $2 on trash bags. Effectiveness is doing the right task to achieve the goal, earning enough that $2 doesn't matter. To break out, you have to accept a certain amount of waste. You have to be okay with the fact that you might overpay for convenience occasionally, because that convenience buys you the mental clarity to stay in the top right quadrant. 8. Actionable steps, how to exercise the ghost. We've diagnosed the problem. Now, how do we actually fix it? It's not about flipping a switch, it's about tactical psychological adjustments. Step 1. Define your cognitive floor. Go to your calculator right now, take your monthly take-home pay and divide it by 160, average working hours. Now, take that number and cut it in half. If you make $8,000 a month, your number is $50. Now, make a blood oath. I will not spend more than 10 minutes debating any purchase or task worth less than $50. If the name brand trash bags are $5 more, you buy them. If the valet parking is $15 but saves you a 10-minute walk in the rain, you take it. You are buying your time back at a massive discount. Step 2. The quality audit. Look at the 5 things you use every day. Your mattress, your office chair, your shoes, your phone, your coffee maker. Are you using the scarcity version? If you are, upgrade them immediately, not to the luxury version, but to the pro version. This signals to your brain that you are a high-value individual who deserves high-value tools. Step 3. The sunk cost purge. The ghost loves to make you finish things just because you paid for them. Finish the bad meal at the restaurant? No. Finish the $10 movie that you hate? No. Spend 4 hours fixing a $20 shelf? No. Practice quitting low-value things. It breaks the scarcity loop. 9. The surprising insight, the retirement death trap. Now, here is the most important part of this entire video. If you don't kill the ghost of your old income now, you will never be able to retire. Wait, Nick, if I'm cheap, I'll have more money for retirement, right? Mathematically, yes. Psychologically, no. Retirement isn't just about having a number in a 401k. It's about the ability to decumulate. I know millionaires next door who have $4 million in the bank, but are still terrified to turn the heater on in the winter. They spent 40 years listening to the ghost, and now they're rich on paper, but living a poor life. They have the success, but they lack the capacity for enjoyment. If you don't practice spending money on quality and convenience while you are earning, you will not magically know how to do it when you stop earning. You will be the richest person in the graveyard, but you'll have spent your final 30 years stressing over the price of eggs. Money is a tool for freedom and utility. If you have the money, but you don't have the psychological permission to use it to make your life better, you don't actually have the money. The money has you. 10. Closing and call to action. Look, I get it. It feels safer to stay in survival mode. It feels like if you let your guard down, if you buy the nice trash bags or the direct flight, the universe is going to realize you're cheating and snatch it all away. But you've worked too hard to let your 20-year-old self run your 40-year-old life. The goal of investing in personal finance isn't just to see a number go up on a screen. The goal is to reduce the friction in your life so you can focus on what actually matters: your family, your health, and your legacy. Stop letting the ghost of your old income haunt your future. You've paid the entry fee. Now give yourself permission to enter the room. If this video opened your eyes to some of your own broke habits, do me a favor, leave a comment below. What is that one thing you know you can afford now, but you still feel guilty buying? For me, it was always the expensive laundry detergent. Let's talk about it in the comments. And if you want to learn more about the rules of money that actually move the needle, check out this video here on the $10,000